When performing operations with scientific notation, all we really have to do is plug them identically the way that they're given into your calculator. Now, the only thing you have to be careful about is whether or not it asks you to write your final answer in standard form or to write your final answer in scientific notation. Depending on what it says, just make sure that your answer follows those directions. So if we just look at these four problems quickly, we notice that in problem number 1, it's addition between the scientific notation. In problem number 2, we have subtraction. In problem number 3, when there's parentheses right next to parentheses, that means multiplication. And number 4, that bar means division. So we just want to make sure that when we plug it into our calculator that we are typing the problem exactly the way it looks with the sign that comes in the middle. Okay, there is no need to do two separate operations. Okay, so let's take a look at number 1. Okay, number 1, it asks us to add the two scientific notation. So if you notice what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug it into my calculator the exact way it looks, starting with a parenthesis. 2.3 times 10. Now when you raise it to the power, you want to hit the caret button and then 3. The parentheses comes next, followed by a plus sign in the other parenthesis. 6.9 times, once again, 10 caret 3. Close the final thing off with a parenthesis and hit equals. My answer in standard form is 9,200. Okay, now this is, like I said, in standard form. Okay, now if I want to put this in scientific notation, I know that I need to start with the decimal, and if the number does not have a decimal point in it, it goes to the end. Okay, I need to hoop my numbers until I get my new decimal between the 9 and the 2. So I'm going to count my hoops. 1, 2, 3. So 3 hoops, which means 10 raised to the 3rd power. Scientific notation is written with the multiplication symbol. And my in front decimal that I just created was 9.2. And that right there is my answer in scientific notation. If I plug number 2 into my calculator the exact way that it looks, it will be parentheses 4.23 times 10 caret 5 parentheses minus parentheses 3.5 times 10 caret 3. Make sure you close it off with the parentheses and equals. That gives me the number in standard form. That gives me the number 419,500. Now if I want to put it in scientific notation, my decimal point goes at the end, and I am going to count my hoops until I get between the 4 and the 1. Remember, you want to hoop all the way until you only have one number to the left of that decimal point. So let's go ahead and count our hoops. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which gives me 10 to the 5th power. And the decimal that I created by doing so is 4.195. Okay. Any answer you have where there's just zeros remaining, you can drop the zeros off when you write the answer in scientific notation. If we look at number 3 here, number 3 is multiplication, and I'm going to move my calculator up there, but I'm just plugging it in the exact way it looks with a parenthesis. 1.7 times 10 raised to the negative 6th power, and then no sign in between, just another parenthesis. 3.2 times 10 raised to the negative 2nd power. Make sure you close that off with a parenthesis and hit equals. And notice that my calculator gave me the answer of 0.00000054. Okay. Now that's a very, very small number, and that's a number that's smaller than 1. And so when I go ahead and write my answer in scientific notation, you just want to make sure that you have the negative exponent. So put your pencil or your pen where the decimal point currently is, and I am going to make hoops all the way until I get between the 5 and the 4. So I'm going to count them, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hoops, which means it's 10 to the negative 8th power since my number's smaller than 1, and the decimal that I created was 5.4. Now, with my last problem, problem number 4, notice how it's a division problem. However, there are no parentheses in my answer. You want to make sure when putting them in your calculator and even on paper, go ahead and group those scientific notations so that you do not forget to put parentheses when you put it into your calculator. Other than that, you're going to type the numerator into your calculator, hit the division sign, and then type the denominator in your calculator. So the numerator is parenthesis 9.6 times 10 caret 4. The division bar, parenthesis 1.7 times 10 to the 3rd power.